Welcome to Sound Bites. I am your host, Holly Whitfield from Daily Memphian. I am here today with the Daily Memphian's fearless leader, our CEO, Eric Barnes. This week, Eric and I are going to have a catch-up. We are going to talk about traveling for food, some restaurant trends that may or may not make it to Memphis this year, restaurants opening soon in the city, and also we're just going to catch up on recent great meals that we've had and some viral chocolate bars that I got to try over Christmas. So a little bit of everything today. Don't forget, Sound Bites is the Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. Please tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11, or you can listen wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, and of course you can listen and read a little article about this podcast at dailymemphian.com. If you are listening on WYXR, keep listening because next you can hear the Sidebar podcast with Eric Barnes. This week he's talking to Paul Chandler from the Germantown Performing Arts Center. But let's get going. Thanks for being here, Eric.
Hi.
In our office where we frequently are.
I guess I have recorded. I did a small thing here. In our non-studio office, because we still don't have an office, approximately 1 year after we were flooded out of our former office. Yay!
But sooner rather than
months,
later.
Weeks away.
I like that positive thinking.
If I'm not positive, I'm not living. That's everyone who knows me knows that.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. You've been doing some traveling, as you are wont to do.
Yes.
And you have some coming up, and you've tried some great things to eat. I've been here in Memphis, firmly planted, for a long time, and I've got some great meals I've had recently, too, but you go first.
I was in New York. I think I was in New York twice, around, right before Thanksgiving, and I think before that. There was this great place in the West Village, whose name I just drew a blank on. So this would be really great for everyone.
Perfect.
But that was, we actually on that trip ended up eating in Brooklyn. My daughter moved and her boyfriend moved out to Park Slope, which is weird because they live about 6 blocks from where I lived when I was about her age.
Weird.
This is all really unintended.
Yeah.
And if you've been to Park Slope, it's very beautiful. And it is almost completely unchanged. It's like Cooper Young or something where the rules or Central Gardens where things don't change. That was Park Slope. We ate some good food there, a bunch of really great Asian takeout, just like Thai and Vietnamese, and that was really good.
Yes.
And this cool place in the West Village whose name I'll look up any moment now. And, but that was really good. But it was less eventful. We're going back in a month for my birthday, and we're going to eat out and eat a lot of really good food.
Do you know where you're going to have your birthday dinner?
I don't. Between my daughter and Leslie, my girlfriend, they are like kind of amazing at finding unknown places or places that they've heard of. So I'll report back on where we eat.
Well, let's talk more about that food travel philosophy here in a minute. But I wanted to share that I had a pistachio cheesecake at Timboli's, and it was sort of in Midtown Pizza. We went, got a pizza, had some salad, and sort of on a whim, she was like, "Oh, we have this pistachio cheesecake special." And I was like, okay. I imagine just your regular cheesecake with little pistachios on top, whatever, fine. Yeah. This thing was like the cake itself was fully pistachioed and not like green food coloring. Like it was just delicious. That whole like almondy pistachio nutty flavor throughout. It was just like remarkably delicious. And then I did something which I don't do as often anymore and shared it on my Instagram, and I had tons of people being like, "That looks so good."
And it was.
Like, it was.
Yeah.
It tasted just as good as it looked.
I've had a bunch of good food in Memphis lately, so we can come back to those. But travel, we're still talking about travel.
Yeah. Okay. What is your food travel philosophy for vacations? Because I've traveled with people who are like, I don't care whatever I can eat and find along the way. And I've traveled with other people, maybe including myself, who are like, I'm planning this part of my trip around where I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I think eating on vacation especially is definitely a high priority. Like my son's fiance, when we were in New York on this trip around Thanksgiving, we weren't doing any of the touristy stuff, and I'd forgotten that she'd only been in New York a couple of times, and I said, "Oh yeah, really sorry, we could do more touristy stuff because we aren't, you know?"
Yeah.
She goes, no, I love traveling with y'all because it's just like a big food tour.
Yes.
So we were in the West Village, which was really cool, and we walked around and we had this great meal at this place I can't remember the name of. And then we kind of wandered around some more, and then we went to Brooklyn, and then we definitely based the trip around food, both for the food and because it's just a fun thing for us as a family. And now, girlfriends and fiancés and stuff. That's just my brother and his wife are coming out. It'll be the same thing. That's kind of how we connect. So we'll sit for hours and hours at someplace really good, hopefully. Sometimes someplace kind of, it's fine, but we actually really enjoy being around each other. So, we enjoy that kind of dynamic. So, like in my daughter's apartment, it was kind of all around food and hanging out, all that kind of thing.
Where do you find where you're going to eat? What do you use?
I'm a big believer. This is controversial, very controversial for some. I'm a big believer in Apple Maps. I use Apple Maps for everything except when it's going to take you to the wrong place. And if you're a regular user of Apple Maps, you can sense it when it's like, no, that's not what I want to do. But otherwise, I really like it. And I use that. Leslie uses Google Maps and Google Reviews, and it's just like can sketch out a whole trip in like 30 minutes of like, well, here's a bunch of options across the place and make a little map and do that. And my daughter's kind of gotten into using the Google Reviews and so on. And then just asking friends and kind of asking around. So more, because my daughter, like in New York, because my daughter's there, she's got friends and so on. And she's like, I've walked by this place 100 times, but I can't afford to go. So Dad's coming to town, so let's do it, which is great.
Which is perfect.
Awesome, which makes it sound, hopefully it doesn't sound bad, because that's what I'm there for.
No, that's what dads are for.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you're not getting on, I know you're not getting on Instagram, but you're not getting on like Yelp, you're not doing like any of these old
part
school...
of the magic of Apple Maps, Holly, is that, again, this is a source of immense ridicule in my family, is Apple Maps uses Yelp. So it's kind of integrated. You really get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. What else do they use?
I think there's some are actual Apple reviews. Sometimes it's weird things like suddenly you're looking at like a Travelocity review. And I don't even know Travelocity was still around. I mean, it's really subpar, but I make it work and it always works out really well.
That's interesting. I might have to try that. I definitely use Instagram.
That's interesting.
Which makes sense, but...
And so does Natalie.
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Having been a person who like put together many lists of where to eat in Memphis and where to eat barbecue and where to do this, I know that a lot of times the lists, like there's good lists and there's okay lists, and sometimes there's bad lists, but most of them that you see from influencers are going to be pretty good. Like it's not going to be too bad. I would be wary of like an official tourism account maybe.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to get on there and search like a location, like a neighborhood location, let's say for example, I get on Instagram, I search by location, Cooper Young, and I see that, for example, Tsunami comes up a bunch of times from multiple different influencers and a Memphis Tourism. I don't know if they say this or not, but they have it. So, okay, now I've heard of this restaurant 3 or 4 times. I've looked up a couple of best of lists. So I'm kind of synthesizing it all myself in that way. So then I'll kind of make a general list and pick from there. But I've had good luck with that when I went to Scotland a few years ago, finding good places. And then also if you find a good place that's like popular and like hip and happening, we went to this place in Glasgow called Braille, Brel, and they were like plying you with espresso martinis, and then they would bring out the mussels and the chips and all the stuff. But we talked to the people there and we talked to the servers there. And then you get your like on the ground
that's
recommendations.
That's a great way.
You like use your social media as like your gateway to get into like, what's like the top 3 places. Okay, which one of these looks like the most fun? And then when we're there, I'm asking the bartenders, I'm asking people around, and I found some really good spots there on different trips.
So if you were going to like a city you've never, I don't know if you've ever been to Kansas City, but if you were going to Kansas City, you'd start with Instagram. And what would you search? Like Kansas City restaurants?
I might.
This sounds so dumb, but I'm actually being really serious.
Well, and I feel like with Instagram and social media, that stuff is changing and getting better and worse day by day. But historically, I would probably, this is what I would actually do. Is my brother loves Kansas City for some reason.
So
eats a bunch there. So I'd ask my brother and I'd be like, what are the cool neighborhoods? And then I would find the name of the neighborhood and then I would type that into Instagram and then it would show me the location around that. And then I probably would search like best restaurants, Kansas City, and then do what as I described.
I definitely plan things around the neighborhoods I'm in. Even when I'm traveling for business, if to the degree possible, I'll try to stay in a neighborhood I want to be in. And generally the restaurants and the bars and the coffee kind of flows from that. And I guess I will do like best of kind of lists a little bit. I'm big on going to the websites for like restaurants and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because you can kind of sometimes tell a lot. Like, wow, this website, the photos they chose to put on here are really bad. I mean, I just don't know what they're doing, depending on what you're after. I mean, so I'm not as sophisticated about it as you are, but I guess it's a little more complicated than Apple Maps. But it starts with Apple Maps.
It starts with Apple Maps.
I use Apple Maps. If I'm just looking up, I want the website for name a place in Memphis, I won't go to Google. I'll often go to Apple Maps and pull the website off that. This is a thing that you really need to embrace. Everyone needs to embrace this.
Well, we probably will, because now Google, if you search something, Google, we love you so much, but if you search something on Google now, it'll be like, hey, this is a real example. My friend was like, hey, where do I get dry ice? She posted this on Facebook, and somebody screenshot the Google search result, which was an AI result that said you can get it at the front of Kroger. It was pulling from a Reddit post from 9 years ago. So you can't get it at that specific Kroger there.
Yeah.
And so we had all these people in the comments being like, oh, I got it here. I personally got dry ice at this location or this other place. Cause like, I don't know where the results are in Google anymore. So maybe I'm going to start using Apple Maps.
This whole AI thing. I mean, and people ask us, I'm sure you get this. They ask me, what are you doing with AI and news? I'm like, we use it in places, but the factual reality that we have to live in is so counter. Like I forgot the name, and hopefully he's not listening right now. I forgot the name of the COO of Crosstown. It somehow came up, and I just was drawing a blank, and I couldn't remember who it is. It's Matt Prince. I've known him forever. Super great guy, and he's the CEO of Crosstown and has been for a while. I go, and I'm frustrated. I can't remember his name. I look, who is the COO of Crosstown? And it pops up instantaneously with the bold statement that Sutton Mora is the COO of Crosstown. Sutton Mora is the COO of the Community Foundation of Greater Memphis. She has been for more than a decade. She also happens to be a friend of mine. And they did recently move in there, and they may have pulled it from our story or somebody else's story or just a press release. And it was just like, no hesitation. I know. I am Google. Sutton Mora is the COO of Crosstown.
Yep.
I took a screenshot and I texted to her. I said, congratulations.
But now you're carrying this narrative forward. It's going to listen to this podcast.
I know, exactly. We're going to reinforce. Exactly. So anyway.
Yeah, what have you done? No, we were searching on like ChatGPT, like what is that? Who is Holly Whitfield? And it said like Holly has worked at the Memphis Flyer and the Memphis Business Journal and wrote about this and this and this, and it was like those are the two places that I haven't worked.
I am the former publisher of the Commercial Appeal, according to various.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, which is factually incorrect.
Well, I'm going to segue from this.
Okay.
You just wait. I'm doing it right now. All these restaurant trend lists that we read about that we're going to talk about briefly here, they all say AI is going to somehow be used in restaurants, and I have not received a satisfactory explanation on how people are using AI. There was something about using like an algorithm to do like demand-based pricing for table reservations, which sounds evil and scary. But I mean, they're already doing that with prices on like Amazon and stuff, where like if you buy it at different times, it costs different things depending on the demand. But other than is that AI that, that's not the way
AI,
we're really.
That's just a computer. I mean, like in New York now, it's more and more common if it's that you're going to pay a minimum for if you break your reservation. And I know there's some places here that are kind of trying to do it, but it's more and more common up there. And it's sometimes not an insignificant number.
Yeah.
And that is kind of demand-based pricing, but I don't think they needed AI for that. They just needed to sort of,
I'm starting to feel like maybe people are talking about like robot servers. I think people are starting to say AI when they just really mean technology.
I mean, yes. I love that like places like Grammarly, which has been around forever, which is now AI for grammar. I'm like, they've been around for a decade. I mean, it's like spell check is AI. I mean, some of this, anyway, I sound like an old man. Some of this stuff is a little like, all right, let's it's going to be super exciting when we get there, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. I don't know. So, okay, here are the other trends on the list, though, that have nothing to do with computers. Caviar.
You told me this before we started, and it still makes me laugh.
I don't know. I mean, that sounds fun to me once ever. Like one time I will go and I will spend a caviar dinner amount.
I don't understand one of the best pieces of sushi I've ever had was in Miami, and it had a little caviar on top, and it cost a lot more than I thought it was going to, and it was like, the size of a tater tot, and it was amazing.
That sounds really good. One time I had a fancy tater tot that had caviar on it. I'm not joking.
Synergy right there. Right there. Take that AI.
It was from Acre.
You tried. Really?
It was amazing.
I bet.
They had it at the Food and Wine Fest.
And then it was at that wedding you went to.
And then it was at the wedding I went to because the people had it at Food and Wine Fest and had their wedding reception at Acre.
But are we talking here about like spoonfuls of caviar?
Like we're talking
like
about
caviar service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I've done that once when I was young. I think my dad bought in New York or something like that.
You have it like with potato chips or something? Yeah. I saw some people do this at their house recently for a dinner. So maybe, maybe the world will be open. But when we were talking to Mary and Paul that are opening No Comment Wine Bar, where Knife Road used to be, they said they're going to have a caviar service along with tinned seafood and stuff.
I love the tinned seafood. Like the Old Bishop when it first opened and had the tinned seafood. It was really good.
And Mary Oglesby, the person I'm talking about, was the manager there at Bishop when they were doing that. So
I remember that now.
Seafood.
Actually, I do remember that now. Okay, that's so interesting.
Another trend that I think would go well with caviar is martinis. Well, maybe it would go and maybe it wouldn't. This is what I wanted to ask you about. Martinis. When you hear that, what drink do you imagine? Like, what are the ingredients?
I imagine saying, wow, that smells wonderful. Can I have a glass of wine?
Yeah.
I don't really like drinks.
Right.
I mean, I'm not, I just, whenever I'm on here, I have to confess that I'm not really a drink person.
That's fine. When I was bartending many years ago, I was like, the menus where you would go, there would be a martini menu, which is kind of funny if you're a purist, where it would have like a Cosmo, a lemon drop, of appletini, a palmtini, anything served in a martini glass. That we would now just be like, it's just a mixed drink without ice in it.
Yeah.
They just put it in that triangle glass. Now it's a martini. But, I remember learning what a martini was when I was reading the Joy of Cooking cookbook, like the drink section. And it was like...
Was this you as a young child?
It was. Or, maybe not that young, but me a while ago. And I was reading it and it was like the Churchill method. So it's like vodka or gin. That was what it said. So you pick, you chill it. And then the Churchill method is that you take a bottle of vermouth, hold it over the glass, and have sunlight filter through the vermouth into the glass. And that's how much vermouth you use.
Nice. I like
so
that.
That's the joke. But when I made it, I would put some in the glass and twirl it and dump it out and then put the...
Yeah.
I don't know what the martini of this trend is going to be. I know we've been chugging espresso martinis. Chugging espresso martinis.
Not today. No way. We definitely didn't drink before this.
As a society.
Yes. Oh, right.
For some time. So I don't know what.
I don't know. Is it more like herbs and... My favorite thing about the mixology thing is when somebody's making a drink and I always do the clap when they're going.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get the oils out and they're putting it, and I'm just over there, I just want that.
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. There's smoke and there's like a smell and there's like a little kind of ceremony. And then, I don't know, get Kevin Keogh talking about this. So formerly of Cafe Keogh, now Bar Keogh. He's like, in a bar, it drives him nuts. They do more of this kind of mixology stuff at Bar Keogh now, but that was he just wanted like gin and tonic, vodka tonic, whiskey, soda, just basics when he opened Bar Keogh, and then he kind of gave in because I think there was pressure. But because he was like, it just takes so long to make all these mixology.
Yeah.
I just want to get a beer, or I want a glass of wine, or like a simple cocktail, But anyway.
The last trend here that's going to lead us into like some places that are opening this week in Memphis. I feel like this is on the list every year for a decade, is like Southeast Asian food, especially Vietnamese and Korean food. We have this like K-food trend that people are really, really into, like K-beauty, K-pop. Korea is the new Japan, is what someone told me lately. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Someone anthropological can talk about that.
We can just say anything now.
We
Apparently
can just
it's
say
2025.
Whatever you want to say. But I mean, every time we would be like, oh, we're going to get this Korean corn dog place, which is like corn dogs with toppings on them or filled with cheese instead of a hot dog.
That's the one I saw at Costco.
Yeah. Oh, they have them at Costco now?
Frozen.
It's over. Trend is over. Memphis got one place that had it and it never caught on. So this is one of the ones that will pass us by. Everyone will be shocked to learn Eric is not a huge fan of the Korean corn dog.
I mean, I might be. I always talk about it. I will eat some junk food. I mean, if we're going to go junk food, I will eat some junk food. So I might love a Korean corn dog. I don't know.
Maybe we should, if some of these places open, maybe we should do a taste test or something. There's like Korean fried chicken, Kukuruku was supposed to open.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When they had, I've forgotten her name, when she was cooking Korean food at Global Cafe, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so
What
good.
did they have?
Just, I can't even remember. I mean, it was just like because Global, they just do each, country, it's just a couple of things.
Yeah.
So she had like 3 or 4 things. There were these there was this beef and noodle thing, and there was it was all real simple. I should write these things down, but it was really great, but didn't last. But I am going tonight, by the time this air would have been Monday, to the new Vietnamese place, Bao Ton. And I'm very excited about that.
And that's going to be in Crosstown Concourse, where Wolf River Brisket was. And before that, it was the pizza place.
No, the pizza place was down the hall.
Oh,
it's where when Crosstown opened, next door, not Sweetgrass next door, but next door, which was the Kemble Musk chain. And they had the place out at Shelby Farms. And it was pretty good. It was a great place to hang out and just kind of work and eat, and great servers and service. And then it closed during COVID, and then Wolf River came in, and now this. If you've been in Crosstown, if you haven't, I guess now it's about to open, but we've sort of been watching them constructed and decorate. It is absolutely beautiful in there, and everybody I know who's we had Todd on Richardson on Sidebar recently, and he's been there at least once for little preview meals. I didn't get invited. Thanks, everyone. It's apparently amazing. Everybody says it's just great. And it's a very cool place. And so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, our daily Memphian food writer, Joshua Carlucci, wrote a story about it. If you're listening, this will be this week, last week. Anyways, it's on the website whenever whenever time is happening. And he got a good preview. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's like a fine dining kind of situation. Well, I'm excited because they have Tony Nguyen is their bartender, beverage program director person, and he had been at Hen House. Oh. And I would go to Hen House specifically to have him make up drinks. So he's a really talented bartender. I didn't know his name.
I just heard other people saying that they're really excited about the bartender and the bar kind of setup. I don't think they have a license yet, so it's going to be a bring my own glass of wine night, or maybe a whole bottle I don't know. I don't know why I said bring my own glass of wine. It's a BYLG.
Just bring a solo cup. You've also gotten to see the new space at Echo restaurant in Valentine Evergreen.
It's very cool. It's not, I for some reason thought it would just be the same thing on the other side, but it is, because I wasn't paying attention or didn't register, that it's kind of a little bit more of a lounge. There's seating areas, kind of couch areas.
Help me picture, is this connected to the Tonica space, or is this connected to the original Echo space?
Original Echo. It's where Diane's, the gift shop, it's that side. So Echo was on the one side. There's a staircase in between, so you actually go kind of around the back, and then you come out basically where the restrooms are. You kind of go past there, and you come out into this. We didn't eat. We just kind of wandered through, and but yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. And it kind of belies, we've talked about this a little bit, about this kind of thing of that as much as there are a bunch of restaurants that have closed, there are places like Echo and many others that are thriving.
Yeah.
It's just a huge sea change in restaurants. I mentioned Cafe Keo closed after something like 15 plus years. I was a regular there for many years, but I think Kevin was tired and it was just time. And, it's just, every time it closes, it's like the sky is falling, and then you go into Echo, or you go to, Publix being replaced and Knife Bird's being replaced. And so I'm excited about that. And Bao Tan, I can't pronounce it right, is opening in Crosstown. So
yeah, and 2 weeks ago we had the Hard Times Deli owners that are going to open their sandwich place in Edge. That is opening probably anytime. Yeah. Central Barbecue on Central reopened this week after 1,000-year odyssey to reopen that. We have a story about that. So it'll be really exciting to talk more about this. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe it's not a new era, but it's definitely a fresh little moment in the Memphis restaurant scene, and talk to some of the people that are part of that on Behind the Headlines. So be sure you look for that. And it really has been a lot of doom and gloom, especially from online commenters, which, that's their MO and that's great. But it'll be nice to hear from people who are saying, no, these are the good things that are happening.
Yeah.
These are the new things that you can try.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. And these things shake out. And like, again, I travel. I mean, Portland has gone through, even before COVID, Portland was seeing just a lot of turnover in certain restaurants, higher end restaurants, because it's just getting so expensive. And, New York, I mean, they lost some restaurants, and then there's always somebody who's going to come in and open another restaurant. I mean, what you name the city. It's just, and then you have ones like, Bari that we love and is doing great and continues to do great and cannot get a seat at that bar, and Beauty Shop continues to be full, and there's lots of examples.
It's just like, honestly, any other industry or any other business. I know people feel like the restaurant industry is more personal because they go there and they're eating and there's that whole side of it. But I mean, sometimes places close and they just needed to close, or the owners wanted to go live at the beach.
Like Raw Girls this week. I mean, everybody's like, oh my God, one more example of someone. They just wanted to go live on the beach and do different things, and now it's reopening under different ownership, and it'll probably evolve, and who knows, right?
Right.
Like things like that happen. It's not all doom and gloom. We should all need to just take it deep.
Well, I love that. I think that is as good a moment as any, but I am going to throw in, because I promised a bit about this viral chocolate bar. It was a TikTok viral chocolate bar, and I'll confess that even though I had been a TikTok user, I had never heard of it. It's like a pistachio chocolate bar from Dubai, and they're really trying to get people to get this filled bar, and it went viral, and it costs a lot of money, and I got one for Christmas to try it.
Was it good?
It's good. It's good.
You're making a face like it's not good.
Okay.
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good.
It looks like a chocolate wrapped Soylent Green.
It does. It does look like that.
There's nothing else. I mean, you're just looking at it going, well, that's Soylent Green, which is humans, by the way, if you missed the movie.
It's people.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, it's people.
It's people.
And maybe it's like almond something in it. There's definitely some texture going on. I don't know. It kind of, I liked it, but I wouldn't pay $40 for a chocolate bar, for that chocolate bar. I loved getting to try it, and I love the experience of that. Now I know what it is. Yeah. People talk about it. There was another version that also came with it that was white chocolate with biscotti, like the airplane cookies. That was a chocolate bar. It was like filled with that. Good? I like that one better.
Huh.
That one's delicious.
That actually sounds better to me.
Yeah. So it was a win, a very nice gift, something cool. So have you tried it? Let us know in some kind of comments or on the internet. You can find us, dailymemphian.com. Pretty much most of the things we've talked about today in terms of restaurants opening and closing, we've written about on our website.
I don't know if we've written about this, but I will say two things I've had. I was talking about junk food that I've had that is really good. The smash burger at Huey's. I hadn't been to Huey's at all in like 2 years.
Oh.
And someone, I can't remember who, said, oh my gosh.
Alice
said, was that who it was?
I think
who
she
said
did.
The smash burger was really good. Mm-hmm. And I went with friend of the show, Carrie Hayes, and it was really, really good. Like I was blown away.
Is it one patty or two?
Two. And it was really good. And I thought the smash burger we did our holiday party at Crosstown Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. Those smash burgers were really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Like some people came late and they were out in the buffet. Don't hold that against them. That's a buffet. That's just the way it is. Show up on time. When they came right out, they were really good. People should go and get that.
They were good 15 minutes later, too.
Yeah.
That's when I ate them.
Yeah.
It was good.
They were good. And then I'm really into the SOB downtown. I'm into their chicken shawarma.
Oh.
It's really good. I don't know if it's like authentically good, but it's really, really, it's like.
They kind of do their own thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably an interpretation. It's just like, when you like watch a movie and you're like, that movie's not going to win an Oscar, but everything was great about that.
But I watch it. I'll put it on.
I'll watch it again. And it was just like, did exactly what it wanted to do. That's the SOB chicken shawarma. It's just really good. It's kind of light. Mm-hmm. It's not really, the chicken's really good. The rice, it's just simple, really good.
I like dependable stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the alpha beta pita for me at RP Tracks. That's mine. Yeah. That's all the time that we have today on Soundbites. Tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 to listen to this, or listen wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, or like I've shamelessly plugged several times, dailymemphian.com. Thank you so much, Eric Barnes, our Daily Memphian CEO, for catching up with me today.